Hi, good morning everyone. This is your Prasad Yadav. Till now we have seen the issues up to the concepts up to types of democracy. Now in this session we will discuss about legislature. Now basically legislature means in general context it is the law making body. So very first thing is it is law making body. Law-making body means whatever the rules and regulations and acts and policies which are related to the smooth functioning of the nation, smooth functioning of the economy, and all other issues related to the administration. Everything is a part of law-making. So, legislature is the law-making body, and it can be formed through, for example, a legislative body can be formed through elections, and these elections are of two types: direct elections and indirect elections. So whenever we come across this term called legislature, the very first thing we should learn about legislature is it is a law-making body. For example, Parliament of India is a law-making body, State Assembly of Uttar Pradesh is a law-making body, State Assembly of Andhra Pradesh is a law-making body. So, an assembly, legislative assembly is a law-making body, Parliament is a law-making body. So, legislature is generally a law-making body, and that law-making body is going to come into action through elections, through direct elections or indirect elections. And one more thing, members of this legislature can be elected or selected. So there are two possibilities. They can be elected by the people. They can be elected by the people who are again elected by the people. So in both the cases it is election only. And there are some cases for the legislature, some people can be selected also. That means nomination can be done. Nominated people, they can be nominated. For example, President of India nominates some people. So, coming from the beginning, legislature is a law-making body. It can be through direct elections and indirect elections. Either the way it can be formed, and the members of this legislature can be through they can be elected representatives and selected representatives. So these two things are possible. And one more thing, whenever this legislature comes, there is a misconception. For example, legislature is a body which is elected by the people either through direct elections or indirect elections. But there are some people which can also make laws. For example, president is there, he can make a law through ordinance. So president is also having such legislative power. When you come down to local administration like municipalities and municipal corporations, they are also having some powers to do legislations. And in certain cases, whenever there is a possibility of law making is difficult, drafting of a law is difficult, then some experts will do that thing that is called delegated legislation. For example, the responsibility of legislation making is given to generally part of the executive. That is called delegated legislation or subordinate legislation. So whenever you have this word, there will be some misconceptions which are related to these things. Only these people can make laws because they are elected by the people. It is not like that. In some cases, president also can make laws, and in some cases through delegated legislation, other people will be there who are participating in law making. And other than president and delegated legislation concept, one more thing is there, local authorities are also having authority to make laws. So this is a huge concept. Legislature is a lawmaking body. 99% they only make laws. But other than these people, these are also make laws which are related to the welfare of the people. So the next term will be legislature and types of legislatures. We have two kinds of legislatures: unicameral and bicameral. The union government is bicameral because we have Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, upper house and lower house. Only some of the states in India are unicameral. They are only having legislative assembly. They are not having legislative council. If a state is having both legislative council and legislative assembly, legislative council and legislative assembly both are there, then it is bicameral. If only legislative assembly is there, then it is unicameral. But the union government is having both upper house and lower house, that is Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha respectively. So our union government is bicameral. Only some of the states in India are bicameral, remaining all are unicameral in nature, and that means they are having only legislative assembly but not legislative council. So these are the basics which are related to the legislature. When we move on to polity, we will be having number of statements with respect to legislature. So I am limiting this topic up to this extent only. It is an elaborative concept, its boundaries are huge, and the content involved in legislature is very huge. So we are supposed to learn types of legislatures, types of elections, types of votes. So many things are there with respect to legislature. So that's why I am limiting myself to these lines only. Generally, legislature is a lawmaking body. The power to that lawmaking authority comes to legislature through the people only, and they are elected either through direct elections or through indirect elections. For example, if we are electing our prime minister, then it is not through direct election, it is through indirect election, because we don't know who is our prime minister is. If the prime ministerial candidate is known or presidential candidate is known, then it is direct election. So that is the difference between these two, direct elections and indirect elections. In India, generally indirect elections will be there, but when it is the case of presidential election, it is a direct election because the presidential candidates will be in context. But in indirect elections, we don't know who is our prime minister is. We are casting votes for only the member of parliament, so member of parliament only. So that kind of election is indirect election. So in India, general elections are indirect elections and the presidential elections are direct elections. For example, in the United States of America, they know the presidential candidate. That's why that is direct election. In India, we don't know who is our prime ministerial candidate, and actually that candidate is not contesting for the prime minister position. He will be contesting only for the member of parliament position. So such elections are indirect elections. So India is best example for general elections. In India are best example for indirect elections, and the elections for president's position in USA are for direct election. In India also, presidential election can be taken as a direct election, and members to this legislature can be elected members or selected members, because of nominated people will be there in both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, so there is such possibility. And our legislatures are of two types, unicameral legislature and bicameral legislature. If both upper house and lower house are there, then it is bicameral legislature. If only one house is there, that is only lower house is there, then it is unicameral legislature. And apart from this, these are the people who are going to make the laws. That is a misconception. At some times, local authorities participate in lawmaking, like municipalities and municipal corporations, and delegated legislation is also there. That is also a lawmaking procedure. And President of India also participates in lawmaking procedure through ordinance. So apart from these people, here we have some category who are also going to participate in legislation making. And that's all about this session. I'm cutting out this session. In my next session, I'll go to directly judiciary concept. Thank you. I'll introduce judiciary to you. Thank you.